Hello everyone, hello brothers and sisters. Welcome to the online learning platform for Kenyan Sign Language. I know some of us are going to take this course for the first time. Others want to take it as a refresher course. All in all, the conditions are the same. Now, if you are taking this course for the first time and you wish to be given a certificate at the end of the lessons, remember we have 3 modules, module 1, 2, and 3. This one is the first module. This is the first lesson for the first module. One of the requirements for the award of the certificate is that you have to complete all the lessons. Number 2, you have at least to score 60% in the exams that you will be given or will be tested later on at the end of the lessons. Now, another thing is that at least you should have completed your KCSE or Form 4, that is. So those are the 2 major conditions that someone has to meet in order to be given a certificate. Now, these lessons, the sign language lessons, the previous lesson becomes the prerequisite for the next lesson. So you have to follow all the lessons in order to get the content. Remember, sign language is a language like any other language, but it requires more of your time. Now, in our first topic, as I had outlined in the course outline, we talk about introduction to sign language. What is sign language? Sign language, in very simple terms, it is a visual language that uses gestures and signs and body language to communicate. So this is a language that requires your eyes. You have to see in order to communicate with a person in sign language. Remember, sign language can also be called signed language. Why? Because of what I've just explained. Remember, there are different countries in the world, and every country has its own sign language. For example, Ugandan sign language is different from Kenyan sign language. Kenyan sign language is different from American sign language, but there are some things that seem to be similar in the languages. Therefore, I want us to treat this language as a Kenyan sign language. Now, there are some other things that we have to consider in learning sign language. What do you think it's so important to learn sign language? Sign language plays a number of benefits or effects to a person who learns the language. Number 1, if you are learning this language for the purposes of communication, wanting to engage yourself with the deaf people or the deaf community in general in order to have that harmony in the society, this is the right place. Remember also, sign language plays a very important role in terms of promoting or engaging the motor skills. For example, remember, you use your hands. The hands are like the mouth. They are the one to communicate. Some of us who cannot grasp even very simple things, but with sign language, because you are going to use this one to make symbol numbers and letters and what have you, and some signs, that one will improve your motor skills. So there are a number of benefits associated with the sign language. There are some facts about sign language that we have to know. We don't have to run away from it. You might have asked yourself, before the first or the official sign languages in every country came to exist, how were the deaf communicating? That's one of the questions that most of the people might be asking themselves. How did this sign language came about? Number 1, we have to appreciate and recognize the effort of one of the French priests in France called Charles. This priest was a high school teacher. And because he was teaching in a school for the deaf, and the deaf people or students came with the signs, the natural signs from home, he was able to collect these signs, and from those signs he came up with the old French sign language, which became one of the modern sign language in those days. From there, we see that language spreading to the rest of the countries in the whole world, and at last it also came to Kenya. That's why we have Kenyan Sign Language as an official sign language in the country. Now, remember the following. Number one, that facial expression plays very important role in sign language. For example, we know very well that different facial expression in the faces display different meanings. For example, your face can't be like this and you claim to be happy. A happy face should have a happy smile, and that's what we refer to as the sign language. So it's so important that your facial expression accompanies the signs appropriately. I know some of us, we might be sad naturally. Others, you have what we refer to as smiling faces. But you have to control yourself when you are signing, because every of the facial expression displays its own meaning. Number two, that brain damage affects sign language. This is a fact that people who have brain problems or disorders associated to the brain, they have challenges in terms of acquiring the language. So that is very important that we have to know. And remember, signing involves all about the brain. You think, you digest before you give out the product. Another thing is about which I've just mentioned in the introduction, that different countries have different sign languages. That is a fact that no one has to run away from it. For example, we have Chinese Sign Language, we have British Sign Language, American Sign Language, among other sign languages in every country. Remember also another thing, that sign language does not mirror spoken language. What do I mean by this? For example, you are speaking in Swahili or in English. The grammar order of that language that you are speaking does not match the sign language grammar. It has its own language pattern and its own grammar. So we have to understand that when someone is signing or giving the message in sign language, we don't have to say that the sign language messages should match with the spoken languages. It cannot happen. Another thing is about babies pick up signs like spoken languages. Now, you understand that in communities or when a child is born, these children learn the first languages from the environment. Likewise, the sign language, the babies who are deaf or born deaf, when they are exposed to the sign language,